to see Angela. I'm so excited to see everybody. And for those of you that are going to jump on, whether it be the replay or sometime throughout this broadcast, and a special hello to those of you that have been watching the countdown and couldn't wait for us to go live. We miss you guys. We were not here on Sunday. I took a family day. My family dragged me out into the pandemic. But we had a great time. We actually went to a very triggering place, but still nonetheless. We went to Stone Mountain, and it was actually pretty good because the crowd wasn't huge. Hallelujah. It wasn't a crowd. We actually got a chance to take in some of I think we went up to the top of the mountain and then the dinosaur exhibit and so forth. And now here it is, hump day, leading women check in. And guess what? We get to do it a day, 24 hours after amazing breaking news. So Angela and I are very excited to jump on here. But before we get started, I'm going to let Angela tell you guys a little bit, because I never remember what we talked about the last episode. I wish I could say last week, but the last episode, and we had a prime time. I kept trying to remember, oh my God, because prime time was so good, but I can't remember what we talked about.
I tell you, it feels like it's been a year. I mean, a week is like a year. And so, yes, we were talking about Isabel Wilkerson's book, Caste.
Yes.
And we had started, we both had started the book and looking at sort of a new way to look at issues of race and class, is to look at something that would be below that, an infrastructure that would exist below that was about caste. And your big takeaway, which I keep thinking about as I'm reading this book, and this book, by the way, anyone who's reading this, this is the Oprah Book Club pick, which we found before. We found it before Oprah announced it. Sorry, we did. Oprah. We announced it before Oprah.
Angela scooped Oprah.
Yep, I beat Oprah. It's 400 pages if you're reading the book. I'm doing audio. I think Yolanda's also doing audio. It's long. Okay. It's a long book. But the thing that, so I'm still in it, or I'm about halfway through, is, Yolanda, you pointed out the idea that this whole construct was artificial, right? That these are these are artificial, I mean, we know it's made up, but that it is not just made up, it's artificial. It's not real. But it functions as something that is real. And so these artificial lines that were drawn 400 years ago that we're still functioning under, and we've been under them so long that a lot of people have just come to believe that this is just nature, how things are, right? And this is why she draws the comparison to the caste system in India for that, something that's thousands of years old. Caste systems are very old. The concept of race is really only, as a Western idea, and only really came into the fore 400 years ago when we started deciding, when we, meaning American or Western, was colonial, say British, European empires, because it was Portuguese, British, French, when they started deciding who would be lifetime chattel slaves and who would not. And so there, again, the arbitrary, artificial marker was decided to be skin color.
Well, I'm right at about 3 hours into the book. And I'm trying to find places here and there where I will get a chance to listen, because, I got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I have actually a clip for us to play, and I was trying to find the watch party, and I finally found the watch party. So I got a couple of watch parties started. If you are on the watch party and you want to be recognized on the broadcast, let me just let you guys know, you need to go to the original, which is actually on our Leading Women page, or on our YouTube. If you're on our YouTube or our Leading Women page, you can comment, and your comments will show up here. Angela and I both have other devices, so we'll try and watch for comments elsewhere. But the watch party, looks like the watch party option is on your personal page and not necessarily on the other pages where people need the benefit. This is, again, some Zuckerberg stuff, where he won't let the pages and the groups really benefit from Facebook. But on your personal page, you can start a watch party. Please start a watch party, because it's a great conversation. Again, I'm Yolanda Lattimore. That's Angela Stalkup. And we bring to you some data and some science as it relates to this, which means we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to take you guys and into the source. like I said, Angela recommended and scooped Oprah on this cast book, and a number of people are all in it, y'all. And it is unveiling so much. It's unveiling so much. Today, I want the clip that I'm going to play for you today. Hey, Chet Jones.
Okay, I don't have sound.
For on where?
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. My Wi-Fi went out there for a second.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, because we can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
All right. So,
okay.
I'm 3 hours into the book. I'm trying to figure out when and where to listen. I figured in the shower is good. When I'm in the soap room, it's good. And it's one because we're not driving anywhere. Because normally I'd get through a book like that if I was out on the road. And I even said, Angela, I'm getting ready to buy a radio because I'm missing NPR. I'm missing all the shows, because and it's fine that I know, and if somebody's gonna say, but you can download the app. But when you think about how much we do on our phones, I'm trying to play on the phone, and you're going into these other things, it's interfering with my TikTok, it's and the apps just don't play consistently like radio would. So, and I'm like, my God, where's the radio? I don't have a radio in this house. I'm like, I got to find a radio. So I'm looking for a radio.
My brother said the same thing to me. He says, gosh, I need a radio. Do you have a radio?
Can you even buy one? Like, where do you buy a radio now?
You can buy.
In 2020, the question of the day is, where do you buy a radio?
And I had two radios. So one is an old clock radio.
I was going to say a clock radio.
So that you can still get a clock radio for $8 on Amazon. So you can get a little clock radio with a, with a crappy speaker. And and then I had an old boombox that had a radio. It's like a CD player and radio. And so I was like, yeah, I got two. In fact, I have a third radio. I have a hand crank emergency radio. You're not going to use that though to just hang around.
I did find the station that we listen to here in Atlanta. I did find them on the Fire Stick. So there is an app to listen to them. But again, it's gonna keep me from keeping other things in my peripheral.
Well,
so anyway, let's get back to Cass.
Yeah.
A couple of more announcements as we jump into this. We're only going to be an hour over here, and then we're going to jump and go to. We're still doing 30 minutes on Instagram.
Yeah,
kind of an after talk. All right, so keep an eye on the time for that. Okay, so and again, let me just also more. If you want to come on air with us into the broadcast, there's a link up above in the description. If you want more episodes, there's a link down below in the scroll. Okay, so Angela has us listening to Cass, and when I tell you this is going to be the book of the century, I promise you it's the book of the century. And it's everything a journalist wants to say, should have been saying. And it's funny that she has to say this in a book and not on the many platforms that which she has worked. And we're talking about Isabel Wilkerson. And man, if she could go on TV and say these things, you've got to imagine this has been her experience. Of all the things that she has had to suppress. So now keep in mind the audiobook is read by someone else, but this clip that I'm going to play for you guys today, as I say hello to Michael Baskin as well, it is the language that we have been looking for. And Angela, I inboxed you and I said, ideal, because we're trying to have this conversation, and we can't have this conversation with those whom we need to bring to the table and have it if we talk about it just simply as racism, because it literally is America going somewhere, our founding fathers, and develop a system by which the construct by which this country would be built on. And everybody quickly goes back to India, but even in part that I'm listening to now, it talks about it goes back beyond that. And they were talking about the caste system. The reason America is black and white is because everybody else that these colonizers tried to enslave had an innate ability to blend in. I just laughed about slavery. This is how freeing this conversation is, y'all. And I don't mean to laugh. I'm laughing because you got to understand that America was built on slavery. And in every day this country exists, there are people coming to the table trying to figure out how to reinstitute slavery, be it our prison system, our jail system, our system of poverty, our system of health disparity. They're trying to maintain a level of this hierarchy. And Angela and I come together twice a week to see, okay, well, how close are they to impacting women? How much did they harm women this week and last week and what's to come? So our conversation is very gender specific. Even though you're looking at an African American woman and a white female, we're talking about gender specific. And when I sent to Angela today, I said we have to talk about this ideal, because this is what plays out as far as women. And we have to understand that media drives a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Africans were enslaved in America is because we couldn't blend in. Our folk, y'all, our ancestors just couldn't blend in. And they were like, wait, they can't blend in, because everybody else that they tried to enslave had the ability to escape and blend in. Okay, so that's why you get the Underground Railroad and all that. And it's like, now keep in mind, we talk about some simple-minded people who were trying to start this country because they themselves had escaped. Okay, everybody just watched Hamilton. There was a full-on war. There is nothing in America that has come about and not come about through war and protest. I don't know why somebody think we had some saints running around up in here and all of it. We are beholden to all these great things, that this dream that is America. But America has a dream because somebody lived through the nightmares. And we are here now trying to, and I know that's heavy language, y'all. I know it's heavy, but we're at a heavy place now because America has got to figure this thing out. We've got to fix some things because of how we're being looked at by other countries. And other countries are always looking to find our weakness. And so yesterday when Biden made his announcement of Kamala, and I think they like to say Kamala Harris, we saw some ideals quickly come into play, right? Did you see that? Your timeline, yes, there was hate and non-hate. There was anti and pro, this, that, and the other. But we saw people quickly separate, and we saw people quickly unite based on certain ideals. The fact that she was from a certain place, the fact that she went to certain schools, the fact that she joined certain sororities, and the fact that she was pro this or progressive that. Everybody selected her. And you know what? And mine, I didn't get mine till today. And I said, oh, wait, she's a Libra. Because I kept trying to figure out. I'm like, how is it that, and Hillary's even trying to pick. Hillary, girl, let me tell you, I'm a Scorpio. Okay? I've been trying to figure out. And I don't like Hillary Clinton. I don't like the Clintons. I don't like the Clintons at all. And you know me, I have my own relationship with a former president, right? And I love our leadership, but I don't like the Clintons at all. And I kept trying to figure out, like, why is Hillary Clinton not president? Hillary Clinton is not president because she's a Scorpio.
That makes sense to me.
Absolute bottom freaking line. Hillary Clinton is not president of the United States to this day simply because she is a Scorpio. And that kept her, because one thing a Scorpio, we're not going to fight and then be okay. That never going to happen. And I saw that when as soon as Biden said that Kamala, because this is the first, I don't know if it's the first, but it's the first in a while that a president picks one of his adversaries, okay, to actually go with him into the White House. We didn't see that with Obama. I think Joe early was in the race early, whatever. It's just not something that happens all the time. And I'm like, man, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, how could they get over what happened on the campaign trail and come together? And I was like, oh. And then I had to go look. I was like, what's her birthday? I just really want to know. And Angela, you dive into this part of things a little bit more deeply than I do.
Yeah.
I was like, what's her birthday? And she's born on the 20th. She's a 2 and on the 20th. And that makes her a Libra. Now, Libras can fight all day and forgive. Oh, we fought. Okay, we good now, right? This is a Libra. A Libra is like, I understand you were mad, but you over it. You good now, and okay, can we go on and do what we got to do? A Scorpio is like, no, we don't resolve this. We don't resolve this at all. And I think that is what cost Hillary her presidency. And I know, as a Scorpio, I know that's a regret that she's going to live with the rest of her life. Some of those decisions, that being who you are, You just can't get over a thing. Saying hello to Kipling and Crystal. All right, so Angela and I'm gonna let Angela speak. In fact, I'm gonna play this clip and I'm gonna let you take it. You want me to play the cast part about the ideals?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna let Angela give us the science behind this. See, I'm just a blogger. I'm just talking. I got a little data, but Angela has the full on science of this thing. And again, our book club, book selection as we kick off the book club. Oh, you know what, Angela? I did not edit this thing down. I thought I did. Let me see if I can.
Okay. Well, do you?
You go ahead and talk for a little bit. Let me try and find. I have it, but it's gonna. Hold on.
Caste pushes back against an African American woman who, without humor, we think caste does not allow us to ignore structure.
There's a couple of fast forward.
Structure. Caste is ranking. Caste is the boundaries that reinforce the fixed assignments based upon what people look like. Caste is a living, breathing entity. It is like a corporation that seeks to sustain itself at all costs. To achieve a truly egalitarian world requires looking deeper than what we think we see. We cannot win against a hologram. Caste is the granting or withholding of respect, status, honor, attention, privileges, resources, benefit of the doubt, and human kindness to someone on the basis of their perceived rank or standing in the hierarchy. Caste pushes back against an African American woman who, without humor or apology, takes a seat at the head of the table speaking Russian. It prefers an Asian American man to put his technological expertise at the service of the company, but not aspire to CEO. Yet it sees as logical a 16-year-old white teenager serving as store manager over employees from the subordinate caste 3 times his age. Caste is insidious and therefore powerful because it is not hatred. It is not necessarily personal. It is the worn grooves of comforting routines and unthinking expectations, patterns of a social order that have been in place for so long that it looks like the natural order of things.
There we go. And does that not empower so many places where we can start, even if we don't arrive at a finish? I don't think anybody listening to that will then try to take themselves out. And that's why I sent a message to you saying, are we guilty of perpetuating certain ideals? She gave a lot of scenarios. And do you find it interesting that in some of the scenarios that she gave also plays into when we talked about the book covering?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I thought this was such an interesting.
Scorpio, I know that's a
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to turn it down.
We'll hear the repeat of that. That whole sort of, again, this, that we just get this vision, we get this visual, we get these visuals in our mind. They say of who's supposed to be doing what, right? But I love that about a Black woman speaking Russian. Anybody can learn a language, right? But why, but our minds are like, oh, wow, that's not supposed to happen.
Well, here's the thing. Not even learning the language, she could be Russian. You see what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. No, see, there, even I, there you go. See, I slipped. Is that she could be Russian. Exactly. There was, I don't know if it was in that clip, and just a heads up, I have a storm going on behind me. So if that's, I think why my internet, that's why my internet was weird. So if I disappear again, we've got a banger going on. But there was, I don't know if it was in that clip, but we talked about, an older person. So, say you have a gray haired woman and she starts a tech company and we're like, what? Right. Oh, that's supposed to be the Asian guy. Well, the Asian guy started the tech company, but who's going to be the CEO? Oh, wait a minute. That's supposed to be Zuckerberg. And so it gets imprinted in our minds. And the reason is that you were talking about simple-minded people forming this country. But as human beings, we like to simplify. Wow, that was, I don't know if you hear that thunder. It was very
I heard
loud.
that. We all heard that one. Are you
Yeah,
okay?
I'm
Do
just
we
like,
need to? You need to
no, I'm
pause,
good.
or
I'm not plugged into anything other than the phone.
the
So I'm not
headphones?
hooked to anything
Okay.
electrical, right?
Yeah,
The
we
phone
heard that.
is unattached. No, if I was plugged in, I'd be unplugging. Is that, our something that helped us to develop our big brains and to be smart is that we learn to compartmentalize, and so that we don't have to make decisions. It lets us make quick decisions. And so we've taken this thing that can be a very good thing, which is being able to tell the difference between the poison berry and the berry that you can eat, right? The leaf that poison ivy, and the leaf that you can use for medicine, right? So we've got this ability to categorize, but we've used it. Caste systems allow you to misapply that, right? And she talks about even being miscast in the cast, right? Is that so? Again, it's like we get this sort of preconceived notion, and then back to one of your media apartheid talking points is media is fueling that. And you said that, I think you inboxed me this, and I don't know if you inboxed me this or posted this on a comment, but it's media that keeps this caste system alive. It's media that keeps us filled with the messages of who's in what caste and how those castes work. And so it's undergirded by our media. And sure, in your home and your family and your community, all of this is going on. But then what are we seeing in media either helps us to maintain that caste system or helps people to break through that caste system. But it's really undergirded with media.
You said it's imprinted. And when you think about that, when you say it's imprinted, I have to say to you, well, how is it imprinted? How do you, especially at a time, we're in a pandemic, we're all in our homes, we're all going to work, we're all limited, television has changed, we're all picking new channels, we're not all as into the news and all that kind of stuff, but it's imprinted. And I had an anniversary reminder on Facebook about, remember I told you I got I was invited because I talk about the apartheid in media. I got invited to a news station to see the process. And I'm looking at them as they're trying to convince me. And mind you, when I went to this news station, I got a chance to see all levels of it, and coincidentally ran into the actual station, the top guy in the hallway, quote unquote, on my way out. And I'm looking at them as they're trying to convince me, and I'm like, okay, do they know? And they've been told to convince me otherwise, or do they not know? Because I had some in-depth discussion. I'm like, listen, this is the thing, to the point I think I ended up leaving it, telling the guy, listen, the only reason they hired you is because you replaced the person for whom people were figuring this thing out. And I'm like,
right.
There's a whole generation that came through local news before you that are now saying that there were things they could not say and could not report on, that they had to, it had to be unbalanced, it had to be unbiased. And we're talking about the formulation of our country.
Yeah.
And he was trying to impress upon me, and I get his part that, we play a part into that. And like you said, it's imprinted in us too. It's imprinted in us too. We don't know. A person like say for instance, if you look at a woman or a person that's in an abusive situation, look how much convincing it takes to that person that's in the abusive situation that something actually is happening to them that doesn't happen to everybody else. You more often because you can tell a person, hey, you're abusing that person, and they'll go, yeah, I know. They know they're taking advantage of or harming. They know that they're harming the person, But trying to convince that person that this system that you're in, system of abuse, is not going to change because you're complicit to it the longer you stay in it. And not only you staying in it endangers you're now endangering others, your family, your workplace. Look how many people have been attacked in their workplace, and other employees have suffered loss and fatality because of a coworker. It's in a jealous and enraged relationship. Look at Nicole and Ron Brown. You know what I'm saying? So this is just as diabolical that because we're trying to figure out, everybody's trying to figure out, like, my God, how does this go from one generation to the next and to the next and the next? because it's in the imprint, and it's in the imprint of America. But the thing about it being in the imprint of America, it came from somewhere else. So it's something that we can stop on a dime. It is something that we can stop on a dime because it doesn't have to be that way. And remember, we had people talking about they're people that don't even realize that they have a privilege in this world, because they're preoccupied with, and I'm going to give them a great benefit of the doubt. And I say, okay, I understand. But you are benefiting from a system that allows you not to know you have a privilege, and knowing that it's gonna change some things. So, I'm just glad to have the book and to be able to come and have this kind of dialogue. It is. I feel a sense of relief. One, because I'm not crazy. I'm not as crazy as people said I am by wanting to discuss these things, and the multitude of opportunities that I have. I have the opportunity that I hear your storm. I have the opportunity. I have an opportunity to sit with leaders. I'm invited to the table, and people couldn't understand. And this is the Hillary thing, and the reason why. Luckily for me, I'm a first day Scorpio, so I got a little bit of Libra.
Right.
Hillary, I think her birthday was like full on 26 or something like that. So I understand, and I try to let a little Libra in. And you were. I'm supposed to find out the time of my birth so you can give me some.
So I can do your full chart.
Yes, I can do it because clearly I got a little bit of Libra. In that I want some things to work out. Go ahead.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, just as a side note, everybody's got everything. The way it works is everybody has everything, right? It's just what's dominant. So you got a little. If you may not have a lot, but you got a little.
I got a little.
And let me say, if I do drop off, I'll try to get back on with with cellular. So
where are we on time? We're at 2. Okay, because we're gonna do what to 2:30 and then 2:30 to 3 on Instagram. Instagram.
Yeah. So anyway,
but did you know all of this going into this book? Did you?
Oh no.
What were your expectations?
I was absolutely stunned, and I have to say, it's just like when I got to the part on Nazi Germany, it messed me up so bad I had to stop. I had to take a break, and like I started.
How far in is that? I don't know if I've gotten. I may be coming up on it because I think right now she talked about caste and how that it didn't start in India, that it had something to do with the Portuguese, and the Portuguese actually had a lot to do with slavery. So, or with the starting of Africans and so forth. So I guess it's going on because it's going into the history of the caste system. And it's funny because even though America, you knew it was something going on in America, it just never really. Some people knew about the whole India thing because even when she talked about it going on in other parts of the world. America, the unique part about America, is that our system was simply based on race or skin color, and other countries it was based on height. Which one? There was one country where she talked about it. They literally go by height. If you're too tall, then something's wrong. If you're too short, then something's wrong. You're not the ideal. And that's why I want to bring it back to the word ideal because I want others to get into it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so to the word ideal is that there's an arbitrary decision of what is ideal, right? And we have this in cultures of beauty and success and whatever. But this again being structurally different, right? And so I'm trying to get this pulled up, and I'm just getting spin to see where I am. It's the second part. The part about Nazi Germany is the second thing she goes into.
Okay.
Then she goes into then she gets into India, and then so I think there's about 6 parts to this book, right? And so then she goes through the caste system. But the part on Nazi Germany, I'm going to just let me back up to that. I had no idea. In fact, literally, I started calling and texting, emailing friends of mine that I knew were into history. And I said, and I would lead with, am I supposed to know this? Did I miss this day of history class? And then I would hit them with and they would be like, nope, never heard it, which is that the blood laws of Nazi Germany, so the Nuremberg laws, the laws that the legal structure that was set up to begin the oppression of Jews in Germany were based almost entirely on Jim Crow race laws in the United States. And so prior to setting up a legal structure to begin, this would be prior to the final solution, right? This is before this was when they had not decided yet to try to exterminate the Jews. They were just trying to contain, and particularly to preserve what they considered Aryan purity, right? That they were their master race in Aryan purity. They studied the United States. This would have been in the 1930s. And because the thought being with these Nazi leaders, they're like, how does the United States get away with it? So the United States is held up as the beacon of democracy, yet they have this incredibly oppressive apartheid going on in their country. How do they do it? And so they went and said, because we want to do it and we don't want to get in trouble. So they studied all the laws. And these were not just, I said Jim Crow, but it's like this, they studied the laws in northern states as well. They looked at what was done with Native Americans and the relocation, extermination of Native Americans. And in fact, there's a quote from Hitler saying that he really admired how the Americans handled the Native American population. Mostly killed them, but put them on reservations. So all these, in fact, when they, and then, so it's like they used all
containment,
these laws.
the whole containment theory.
And then they looked at this and they were trying to figure out, again, how do you quantify legally what the dominant caste is? How do you quantify legally for them what Aryan would be? Here we would say white. And they found the one drop rule, which was basically the law in many states in the United States. They found that too extreme. They said that's too much. So we're trying to actually get as many people to be Aryans, right? So we just want to exclude this one group. They thought that the race laws in the United States were too extreme. Nazis, okay, I had to sit with this. Nazis in the 1930s thought the American race laws were too extreme. And they actually thought, they said they can't possibly be enforcing these laws. These are just the laws on the books. They can't be enforcing them. Spoiler alert, we were. So that right there totally blew my mind. And so Isabel Wilkerson, the whole germ of this book idea was that when she saw Charlottesville, she was looking for her next project. She decided to go to Germany to figure out what did the Germans do to get rid of Nazism after World War II, and why is it here in the United States? And basically the answer she came away with was, we didn't get it from them. They got it from us.
They got it from us.
And I'm like, to me, I had to sit a day, and I said, it's like in the horror movie.
You had to sit with that.
I did. I'd sit, and I was like in the horror movie when they're like, the call is coming from inside the house, and I'm like, holy crap. And so, not that I think that there's any sort of loftiness or about America, right? I'm not one that is like that there's never been a problem and America has not done terrible things, but just when I think about the narrative and the story that we tell about the American participation in World War II and the American relationship to Nazism and Nazi Germany, and how we have been fed such a line. And so it's not surprising at all. Like, we're like, really? In Charlottesville, I'm like, I grew up with John Wayne movies and the Nazis were the bad guys. And I'm like, what kind of American is going to embrace Nazism, because that was supposed to be, Superman. Superman in his first iteration was fighting Nazis. Wonder Woman fought Nazis. I mean, I was like, how did this happen? And it's like, no. That, again, talk about media, right? Cartoons or media, comic books are media, movies are media. We were given a message that did not reflect actually the true thinking of this country. And so I had to go off and every person I talked to, and I didn't ask any historians because I don't really have any historians on my speed dial, but I did ask people that I know who are very knowledgeable and have studied history and politics and sociology. And it's not that she found secret documents. These are documents. These are resources that were out there. So, just to say this, like I say, I was completely blown away when I heard the idea of caste. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But when she broke it down and she really got into it, I was like, this again, I was just, mind blown. Now I'm very curious to see how the book ends. And I did sort of hunt around a little bit because I'm like, well, does she have a solution? Is she saying one of the solutions? And she does not present a solution.
What?
And she says, I'm a
but
not a clinician. Because I was a little bit like, am I going to get to the end of this and I'm going to be like,
yeah,
what are we going to do?
That.
And so part of her thing is if we're aware, but she's like, I'm just calling it like I see it. And so I think, there's going to be a lot of discussion around this. I follow a lot of my background, my academic background is sociology, it's communication, is social sciences. And a lot of the sociologists I follow were real quiet in the early days. And I thought sociologists are not going to like this, right? Like academic sociologists, because there's a lot in it. Just the whole caste thing is of India is huge. Nazi Germany, huge. South Africa, huge. They're like, but she's not trying to be a sociologist. She's trying to be a reporter.
And but look how easy it is. But look how easy it is to say it exists in all those other places, and it's hard to believe that it exists here. And all of them have adapted something that they saw going on here. I always wondered why there was such a lens on African Americans, even though, there are Black people throughout the diaspora and we all got there some of the same ways. I always wondered why there was such a lens on what we did. Is because what African Americans, what Negro colored, Black African Americans, freedmen, and all those, what we did in the time span that we had. We talk about these last 400 years, and even just in the last, of course, I've been around the last half century, born 100 years after slavery became illegal. And we know that there were those that were captured some 50 years even after that. So, and then you think, okay, there were those captured 50 years after. I was born 100 years after. So there's only 2 generations in between myself and those that would have been slaves. And so captured and kidnapped and on these work farms. In fact, the story's out right now about Viola Davis going and buying the plantation, her people came off of. Because if you look, even after slavery, there was sharecropping and so forth. Even when I first started blogging, I remember I first started blogging and I used to, deep dive into the press releases. And I saw this press release. I did a story on a woman who was trying to raise money to get buses to go to these little rural towns and rescue people, like literally rescue people who had no idea that people were free and could leave plantations. And I'm talking about even here in Georgia and Alabama and down the I-20 corridor, so far off the highway that they didn't know that slavery had been abolished and that sharecropping, again, because you talk about this imprint and I mean, I just spent the last 20 years, 30, almost 40 years, literally protesting local news, saying that, they're complicit in this. They're complicit in this. And hearing this, and I mean, I used to ask myself, like, how is it that I can't be the only one watching this stuff and seeing this stuff and realizing how harmful it is and what it's continuing in the mindset of people. And even like when I used to watch Jay Leno, remember Jay Leno used to go out on the street and ask people these questions. They did it even with the Trump supporters. How is it that you ask a Trump supporter and they give you, and Angel's having some weather issues. Yeah, it's coming back. But how is it that you can go and ask a Trump supporter and they will give you exactly what they believe and tell you what, and you ask them, like, how is it you believe that? How is it you come to think that? Because they've seen it on the news, they heard it on the news, and these are the positions that they take about people, and then they have all these deeds that they do. So that's the harmful part, is how a person thinks. That's what delegates their deeds and what they do to people. So it's harmful. I'm just trying to reduce the harm in all of this. And when it comes down to doing that kind of work, There's not a lot of people doing it. People think, oh, I just don't want somebody to watch this channel or that channel. No, there's an actual harm that's being done to people. There's moments in history that could absolutely repeat themselves. Like you and I were thinking about 1619 and 1919, and things that are, going on today. And I don't know if it was in this book or another one. With the James Baldwin, where they quoted James Baldwin, where he talked about 2021, and not until 2100 will this country have had people freed as long as they were slaves. We're not even at the point.
Say that again, because that
not until I think he said
it just was like
what 2021 is going to be an epic year. 2021. But not until 2100, the year 2120 something, will generations of Black people have been freed as long as they were slaves. As long as our ancestors were slaves, we have not yet reached a point where we've been free longer than our ancestors. And that, and to say that, and then to think about it, it happened here. It also happened in other places, but what happened in America happened because in other places outside of America, they're all kind of brown people, right? But in America, and I have to continue to laugh when I get to this, generation upon generation asking this question, like, why is America drawn on this line? Why America this and the other? And it's simply because we cannot blend it. They call this color of our skin. She called the color of our skin a birthmark, a birthmark visible throughout our entire body. Even though we have birthmark, and also there was a stat given in the book said that humans are 99.9% the same.
Yeah,
99.9% the same, and race is just a tiny little part of that. But it's just something that we're doing now. Let's genderify this, because we have to talk about it as it relates to gender. Then that's just the history of it. And then we're gonna get ready to jump over in about 15 minutes. We'll be headed over to Instagram for a little bit of after talk, because we want to hang out on Instagram because they seem to be favoring Instagram right now. The other side to that is dealing with this as far as it relates to sex or gender. In the clip, we also heard there, and I'll say hello to Terry Morey, Charles, Tamika, Denise. Thanks for jumping in on the watch party. We also heard in the clip where they talked about, and my mind went right to the safety. Women are safe. That there is, and there's a meme going around saying to men, protect women whether you're attracted to her or not. We have to tell men that, protect women whether you are attracted to her or not, because I want to bring this to those ideals, to be able to understand. I think I made a mistake once when she explained about the Black woman at the head of the table speaking Russian, and we think, oh, she had to learn Russian. Oh no, she might have been raised there, so, and that might be her first language, We've got to get beyond these ideals because it's been imprinted in us so much. And when she said the part about the Asian guy knowing everything there is to know about the company, but he's not CEO, how many can you point out? And let's talk about the fact that we are still in this country, and we are in America, for those of you watching elsewhere, we still get daily headlines of the first this and that. I mean, hey, let's go back to breaking news. Kamala being, the first African-American woman to be asked to run as a vice presidential, a running mate, basically, not vice president, running mate, right? And people were going back, and they were going back to Geraldine Ferrara, I believe. There's a little bit of going back to Shirley Chisholm, to the running the president, and so forth. And she ran for president at the same time she was having all kind of issues, just being, a representative,
Right.
So as women, where are we and how are we women fighting some of these ideals? And I'm going to ask the question I asked you in the inbox, and then I've titled this, are we also guilty of having some, we're we may not be hateful, but are you perpetuating some of the person that does that, or for a person to be safe? Somebody was talking about Breonna Taylor, and there was a video. I kept trying to remember what I watched yesterday, and they were talking about why so much action. Why was there so much shift in our world over George Floyd and not Breonna Taylor? And they explained because there's video of George Floyd, and we don't yet have the video. You don't have a visual of somebody going into tearing their way into Breonna Taylor's home and shooting her. And so you can't truly fight it. You just can't, because you don't have that visual. Who did I watch? There was a video. It was. I'm trying to think who was doing the interview. Oh my God. Because I don't even know. I got to figure out who it was. It was on. Oh, I know what it was. Bronze Lens Film Festival is happening. And Kathleen Bertrand, who is the founder of Bronze Lens Film Festival, she was also working in Atlanta government for a long time, retired from our Conventions and Visitors Bureau, I believe. She was interviewing Will Packer, and they were talking about the importance of video. And Will Packer said one of the reasons we don't have the drive behind Breonna Taylor is because we don't have the video. He talked about Ahmaud Arbery. He's like, if we didn't have the video to come out about with Ahmaud Arbery, we wouldn't be able to address that situation properly. So are we as women, are we complicit in the fact that we are still suffering from not meeting these ideals? And how much did the ideals play into choosing Kamala? Because that's something that is now tearing down, being broken down in the timeline. People are talking about choosing her over Stacey Abrams. Go ahead.
Right. So, and I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I just wanted to pull this up. Want to give a shout out to a hidden figure that I learned about today. Carlotta Bass. Got her here on my phone. She was actually the first Black woman nominated to be vice presidential candidate with the Progressive Party back in like the 1930s, 1940s.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And I just learned that this morning. And so it's like, yeah, I'm like, look at how snazzy. And so
wait, we can't see it. Hold it up again.
Can you see?
Wow.
And
that's a familiar look,
isn't it?
History.
And I was like, okay, how about that? I'm like, here's somebody I never heard of. Interesting. We almost had a vice presidential candidate with the last name Bass. One of the top characters was Bass. I'm like, one of the candidates, I'm like, I can't think of her first name now because now I got Carlotta in my mind. I was like, oh my God, that would have been amazing. I would have really believed that was ancestors and reincarnation happening. I would have, but I think that Kamala is interesting to have this foundation of this language of caste. And I really, it's like I say, it's a big book. I think everybody should read it, but go read an article, go read a review if you just need to get the general idea. Because Kamala is in here and she is just stirring up the caste pot, right? It's like everything that we have been programmed around caste.
You're so right.
And my timeline is going insane. And I honestly
instantly, right?
I thought that she might not be chosen because I knew she was going to be controversial for everybody, right? Progressive, particularly progressive women don't like her politics. But anyway, you have, so she is the daughter of immigrants. Her mother was Indian, her father Jamaican, right? So there was a whole thing that went around that, she's not a descendant of slaves. Do you understand what the Caribbean, where Black people?
Yeah, how they get to the Caribbean? Okay, from Africa.
There is a Fox News Republican talking point, and I hate to share it, but anyway, and they're going on and on about the fact that Kamala's ancestor, she has an ancestor that was a white plantation owner from Jamaica that they can trace their line back to a big, and they're like, see, literally they're saying, see, she's not really Black. And I'm like, are you
Is it because they need to say that
insane?
because they wanna abandon Trump? I mean, and again,
It's it's
audiences.
no, it's
Who
audiences.
is
It
that
just
for?
I don't even understand what the Republican audience cares about. But I thought you have no. I thought what Kamala is going to do if she is pulling back the curtain. Like, you
Yeah.
understand that every black person in America who is a descendant of a slave has a white ancestor because they were all rapists, right? I'm
But
like,
but did we
but I'm
not
like,
just
that does,
go through this with Obama though?
yes. And somebody said they're finally saying about Kamala what they wanted to say about Obama and just didn't have the nerve to say,
Oh,
right?
okay, okay,
But
okay.
I'm like, okay, so you just got all you just so many levels. And then she was a prosecutor, she was attorney general, she was actually
Yeah.
she did a lot of stuff that was not necessarily race sensitive, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She put black parents in jail for their kids being truant. She, hard line sentences for drug offenses. There's a lot of anti-police activism and so forth that they don't like Kamala, right? Which, so the point being is that just because she's a black woman does not mean that she held certain political beliefs. So literally,
Mm-hmm.
I said she is in here, and she is just, her very presence, God bless you, is going to open up so much. And I feel
Yeah.
bad for her, right, being the center of the storm. But I'm like, I thought this is forcing a conversation that we did not have with Obama, that
Right.
we would have had if it was Michelle Obama, right? But this is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we are forcing conversations that I think are really needed. It's going to be ugly because there's going to be a lot of ignorant stuff said, and my
Mm-hmm.
apologies to anybody who's got to hear ignorant things said in this, in 2020. But
And
there will be.
who's not ready for that? Okay.
Exactly. Well, the people
Mm-hmm.
who are invested in maintaining the caste system, right? But I'm like, Kamala Harris is the perfect, is going to show that there is a cat, that this caste system. She went to an HBCU. She went to Howard. She was in
Mm-hmm.
a prominent
Mm-hmm.
um, black
Sorority.
sorority.
Mm-hmm.
She's, so she's married to a white man. He's Jewish. I mean, like, I thought, can we take everything American and just put it into one big pot?
In one
Here it
person,
is,
right?
in one
And
person.
I
And I'm
mean,
like,
if somebody had to check off the boxes, she would be the one to check
yes.
out the boxes. I
And
think
so,
one thing to her benefit is the imprint is different.
mm-hmm,
Media is different. It is a story that people are looking for. We've teased around with it with Obama, and the good thing I think is that Michelle Obama has a platform, so there are more people now that can. And here's the
mm-hmm,
thing too. There's going to be more and more changes because we know when things start to shift one way or the other politically. Some of the talking heads are going to be interchanged. They're going to be, snatching this one out, putting that one in. So
mm-hmm.
it is gonna bring forth a lot of conversation because more people have access to the airwaves now than before. We've been here before. And it's, again, it just goes back to what that imprint has been. And she challenges all of it,
She
every bit of it.
she does. But I want to say this, and certainly people can disagree with her politics, however whatever position you want to be in. But what an amazing, and I think you and
Mm-hmm.
I inboxed about this. Let's take a minute and celebrate this accomplishment. And if she became president, if Joe Biden resigned the day he
Mm-hmm.
signed up, the day he was inaugurated, pa, may nothing happen to him, and she became
Mm-hmm.
president instantly, I would be very
Right.
comfortable. She's incredibly, extremely qualified to be
Mm-hmm.
president.
Mm-hmm.
She's extremely
Mm-hmm.
qualified to be vice president. And and just to see her picture, the New York Times, has her picture, her portrait is like the middle column of the entire
Mm.
fold out of the New York Times. So to
Wow.
see this black woman and the pose that she's in and so forth, this just this very just exuding power. And as the vice presidential nominee, I'm like, is just
For all the right reasons, right?
exactly. And I just thought, let's just honor that we have that image. We have that
Mm-hmm.
image now that is
Mm-hmm.
going to be in our history books. It gives that's this is where our progress is slow. We move forward, we go back, but this is a great moment because you're exactly right. It is for the right reasons. She was chosen because she's qualified. And sure, all this stuff is political. And hell, Biden's not my choice. Biden wasn't probably my top 3 choices. So I'm just like, okay. So I'm thrilled that we have somebody on the ticket that is not an old white guy. Honestly.
And the thing about it is, I mean, you got to know she was chosen because she is a fighter, you know.
Oh, yes, she's a
if you
scrapper.
needed to envision somebody going after Trump, she is that person. And then be in the Libra, she can smile and fight at the same time. Scorpios can't do that. We're mad. We're mad. You're going to know we're mad.
And and as a prosecutor, she's a lawyer. She's got that. She brings that logic and that incisive, drilling down, and then just her energy and personality is such, like you say, got to be some of that Libra energy, is that she can smile and then just slash you to bits. And I'm like, yay,
and get it done. And I am excited that one of the things I'm always okay with the president and vice president, their term limits. Okay. My concern with this, and we know that Biden had a list that he was deciding between. My first concern is always it's Supreme Court. So that still leaves that was the second demand. And I hope that this camp full well understands that the vote is dependent on us getting a Black woman on the Supreme Court, a lifetime appointment, someone making lifetime decisions as it relates to Black women. I get so tired of hearing how we are the base of the voting population and this, that, and the other, and our voice is not there. Our voice is, I don't care how many people put in Congress, the voice is not there. We need laws in this country that protect Black women, and there are some things that are being challenged. And and I'm just into the president and stuff. That's fine, but from a local level going all the way up to the president, I just want to make sure that Black women are good. Keep and not only that, and we're gonna get ready to jump over on Instagram, but the convention is going to be virtual. I think it's still going to have a lot of energy. The speaker lineup is out there, of course. Mayor Bottoms, who everybody thought was on the short list. But there was some discussion about, and I think there were a number of mayors on that short list, just simply because they've been visible in this shift of where we are in this climate. But people were saying how big of a stretch that was for somebody to go from being a mayor to a vice president.
And I think that also was probably what kept Stacey Abrams from being, from making the cut, is that even though she's held, she's been in government and state government in Georgia, she, again, the scope of her experience, although I would have been perfectly, Stacey Abrams is my first choice for everything. So, she's, and guess what? She's been getting ready to go after Kemp. I would like to know what her sign is, because she's like, I ain't done with you, Kemp.
When is her birthday? Let's see when her birthday is. I don't know.
Let's see when her birthday is, because I'm like,
I'm gonna pull it up.
She might be I've not forgotten about you.
I hope she's not. I hope she's anything but a Sagittarius. Let me see. Stacey Abrams' birthday. Come on. Oh, she's December 9th. What is that?
That's not a Capricorn.
It's not a. It might be Capricorn. Isn't that towards the end?
Capricorn is January, yeah. So is the end of January. So what comes before Capricorn?
Well,
Scorpio.
No, it's not Scorpio. Ends in November. She might be a Sagittarius because
does a Sag come after?
Yeah, Sag come after.
Just said, I hope she's not a Sagittarius. I thought I bet she's a Sag.
That's a whole lot. That's a whole nother fault area right there for Sagittarius. So that would explain a little bit. People are like, are y'all really? Yeah, we're really breaking this down.
We're going to break it down every way.
Because, I mean, when you think about the opportunities that have been presented to her, her not going to DC with the blue wave of the women who ran, along on the ballot with Trump. If she had been on that ballot, she'd be in DC right now. And she would have been in a different position for being selected. She could have been a senator, and she would have been, better in the running again. And we make decisions, whether y'all subscribe to it or not. Astrology, it plays it plays a part in that. I mean, we just talked about Stacey, we talked about Hillary, and we talked about Kamala, and the Libra won out. The Libra won out over the Scorpio and the Sagittarius, even though they're all doing amazing work. And these are the kind of women that they are out frontline women. Let's just say it. They are definitely frontline women. And look at it towards the end of the year. I don't know. All of y'all are born in the early part of the year. We don't know what y'all doing. But the Libras, the Scorpio, and the Sagittarius are rocking it. You know, the early part of the year, I guess y'all are just some amazing supporters, because I know as a Scorpio, I have some amazing supporters behind me that are Pisces and Aquarius, and I'm trying to think of my other daughters.
I'm a Taurus with Gemini rising, so you know what? I'm early year, so
yeah. So y'all are supporting.
We're the cheerleaders.
And we're over here like, come on, help us fight this fight and all that.
And we're like, you can do it.
Like, right, you can do it, but do it in a sensible way that it doesn't get us harmed. All right, guys, we are going to stick around a little bit more. We're going to go do an after talk over on Instagram, because Instagram is doing some stuff right now. But I saw a number of you jumping on our watch party. Shout out to everybody watching also over on YouTube. I'll go ahead and say hello. Bradley, Rolando, Sheldon, Reginald came in, Terry came in, Charles, Tamika, and I think I shouted out Denise already. When you do come in, say hello in the comments, because of the platform that we're broadcasting from, we can see your comments there. We can also put them on the screen. There are more episodes. If you missed an episode and you want to catch the podcast and put it in your ear, the link down below, leadingwomenweekly.com. If you ever want to join us on air, if you don't pre-plan it, you can also do it at spur of the moment, because we put a link up in the comments, and hit that link, you come right into the green room. We can see that you jumped on. We can bring you on screen, and you can give us your comments. Again, twice a week we come to you, talk about some things that are happening, and most of your shows are in hiatus, so we got a chance to talk about it first here with the breaking news. It's still kind of breaking news. And I think, as a matter of fact, aren't Biden and Kamala supposed to make an appearance today? Is it today?
Must. I don't know the schedule, but I mean,
think,
you would think so, yeah.
I think they're doing a fundraiser, because I got a text from the campaign, and the text says, "Hey, Yolanda, do you want to chat with Joe and Kamala? They're going to pick 3 lucky supporters to do a meet and greet after tonight's grassroots fundraiser. All you have to do is chip in any amount of money.
Come off your wallet.
Yeah, you'll be automatically entered to win." And somebody I saw yesterday, I think they raised like extra $6 million immediately prior to making the VP. The campaign said that they were about $25 million behind fundraising of the other camp, so they definitely got a boost from that. And the people are not going to conventions and so forth, so clearly people have it in their budget. Guys, we really want to turn this thing around. I'm not even going to tell you to vote. I'm going to tell you to chip in as they are, because it's definitely going to take money. Because when you think about it, as Angela said, you've got to imprint. We got to work on our imprinting in the minds of people that we can overcome all this. And the way to do that is not just to vote, but you've got to get behind some of these candidates. This is a presidential election. Yes, the president is on there. Half of your other representatives are on there. Yesterday was a runoff election here where we live. So every Tuesday, it's probably something you need to be voting on, and you don't know about it.
Make plans for voting in November. You need to just go ahead and do it now. Are you going to early vote? Are you going to absentee vote? Are you voting day of? Whatever. Make sure your registration is. I mean, start now, because that there are going to be extreme efforts made to disenfranchise,
especially if you're planning
Democratic
to go
voters
through the post office. If you're planning to go through the post office, there's some issues there. So you might want to check on other ways of getting your ballot in.
I don't know about other states. Georgia, though, it's 180 days before the election that you can request your ballot. Therefore, you can get go ahead. You can go ahead and do it now. Georgia is actually going to institute an online registration system for absentee ballot requests. Right now, you have to send in. You have to do a form, send it by email, mail, or fax. So but I would not wait. I didn't wait. Go ahead, fill out that PDF and email it if you have access to that. And go ahead if that's
Are
what
you
you're going to
concerned
do.
about mailing your ballots?
Oh, I'm not
in?
going to. I'm not going to.
You
We
gonna
won't.
take
We
them?
won't mail. We'll drop them. There's thankfully Cobb County has drop boxes. Fulton County also has drop boxes that were set up so that you don't even have to go in to drop them off. So yeah, we since when that the previous election.
But see, my
started
concern is
dropping
that
off.
if there's a drop off, why isn't there like a pickup? Why can't you just pick up a ballot? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
why do you have to request it and that you have something to be mailed to you? You have to send that back, then to get the ballot.
Yep.
It's like you said, it's ways and means of getting people to give up on the process. And this is not the time to give up on the process. Anybody that is of age, coming of age by the time of this election, please make sure that they are registered to vote and make sure that we vote. And also make sure you get with some of these candidates and find out, there's phone banking, there's social media, all kind of things. And not only that, I mean, it could definitely increase your skills if you're looking for certain kinds of skill sets. A lot of times we get those skill sets through volunteering. Some of the most amazing jobs and opportunities, the people that I met through volunteering. I spent a lot of my life volunteering, particularly as a young parent, things I wanted my kids to have access to. And if I couldn't afford it, I was like, y'all need any volunteers? I got 4 or 5 of us. Okay. Volunteering, if I wanted to meet certain leadership, how do I know all these people? Through volunteering. The life that I lived through volunteering. I only became a blogger because of all the volunteering that I'd done, because I was always at the table and had access to all this stuff. I was like, I got to start writing about this stuff, So one didn't leave. It's the other way around. If you thought all the access that I've had came out of blogging, no, I opened those doors because I was a volunteer.
Yeah, that
led to blogging and so on and so forth. A lot of people don't understand that, but volunteering, especially in America, volunteering is a great thing. It really is. It really is. All right. Any words of wisdom before we go to the after show?
I would say keep your wits about you. So this is going to be my leading women wisdom of the week is we've been waiting for this VP pick. There's going to be a lot of chaos, but again, stay focused on the goal, stay calm, and do take the next logical step that's in front of you, and do that, right, and that will help you to weather the storm, because it's already chaotic. We're now moving into the hurricane winds, but we can do it. It's just but stay focused on and again and stay involved. So that's
there you go.
That's my
there
word.
You go.
So let's go to Instagram and we can talk about some interesting stuff happened here in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. So follow us on Instagram. Thanks again. In the link down below, you'll get the podcast as well as links to other video episodes. Thanks now. Bye, guys.